co-host with us, Mr. EZinCrypto. It's going to be amazing. If you're here for the first time, previously OHNAHJI B and I had a Twitter space where we had a mini radio show slash podcast where we would just kind of chat with our two communities about different issues and challenges they were having in the Web3 space, and just kind of like talking about Web3. We're both very technical individuals, and I'm excited to have Easy here with us as well. And to resurrect this, I moved to the East Coast, which ended our first podcast, but it's super excited to be back. For episode 0, we're gonna, do a little quick 30-minute episode, just talk about things that are there, maybe give a quick intro if everyone wants to do that. But I'm gonna shoot it over to OHNAHJI B. How we living?
Pretty good, pretty good. How am I? Am I still?
Okay, there
Perfect.
we
All
go. You're
right.
back.
Yeah. Levels. Oh, okay. Level check. We're good. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're streaming multiple places. So if you're seeing this over on the new brand new OHNAHJI Twitch, we're in the building. But this is OHNAHJI B. My name is Brian. I'm a dev slash musician slash artist, just all around maker. Based in LA now. But yeah, we've been having these. This is the resurrection of Let's Talk About Web3. We were like what 20, almost 30 plus episodes over on the audio side, but now we're hopping live into this the streaming world with cameras on. We're out here, so yeah, we're happy to kind of provide some crypto, Web3, blockchain, AI, emerging tech, education to a bunch of as many platforms, just as many platforms as we can. Just try to reach as many people as we can because we really believe in this technology and what it can do for humans going forward. So yeah, that's me on Najee B. So I'll kick it over to EZinCrypto.
Yeah, yeah. Super glad you guys invited me into the mix. Most people call me Easy. I go by EZinCrypto on pretty much all social media platforms. And yeah, I am not as technical as my two hosties over here, but I have a lot of experience in the space. I've been hosting shows for 5+ years, building community, onboarding people. I've worked in the music space, the gaming space, bringing literature to the blockchain with PageDAO. Shout out PageDAO. Yeah, kind of have my fingers in a lot of pies. So I'm stoked to be here, and there's a lot of opportunity. Just also, to be safe out there if you're rolling into the space and you're a little new, or if you're like an OG and you've been here forever, not to click any links that come rolling into your DMs. You don't go chasing airdrops and meme coins just for a little gain when it could give you, it could be a wallet drainer. So I always like to bring up a little bit of Web3 safety when I'm jumping into something.
1000%, 1000%. Yeah, shout out to you, Easy. We've had a bunch of awesome conversations, on Twitter, on X, and about Web3 security, all that good stuff. So yeah, we're glad to be here. So yeah, Zal, you want to tell them a little bit more about the history of Let's Talk About Web3. Why we're bringing it back. What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. So, for me, it was honestly, I wanted to get that. It was one of my first experiences hosting anything in this space, which was awesome. We had actually co-hosted an event, blockchain for musicians, which is my first big thing, where I brought everyone I knew together that wanted to help me host this event and just bring a bunch of people for Django, my artist, the one I've been working to onboard into Web3 for the last few years. And it was an awesome opportunity to work with OHNAHJI B. So I asked him if we could rock a space together, a weekly space, and turn it into a podcast. Because there was a lot of folks in our two mutual communities that were all on the less technical side or the beginner side and had questions. And I think that opportunity to have a space for any new folks to bring people to have a kind of a safe space to ask those basic questions was super important. And I like that we were able to do that, but also dive in deep into the technical whenever no one would show up and we would just blabber on. So that's always awesome. And yeah, it was an awesome 20 episodes. We had a lot of amazing different individuals on. We actually created a group chat on Twitter, which is another reason we're excited about resurrecting this. So we got to add Easy to that because I don't know if he's even in that. But the Let's Talk About Web3 crew will be back. One of our big things that we're trying to do over the next few episodes is to give this link out to folks so that different individuals can also join this room and ask their questions about what we're talking about. We also are going to probably have different planned segments about where we talk about different pieces of what's out there, whether that be on the Web3 side, whether that be on the more art side, and everything in between. So yeah, I don't know if we want to give intros in this one or just like rock into some news because like we only got
Well,
15 minutes left anyways.
I want to do a quick. I just want to mention I've run into Onaji over the years in different spaces and stuff like that. I met Zal a little more recently. Somehow I got invited to the ZAO. I don't even recall exactly how, but that rhymed. I've been going to ZAO Fractals for like a good handful of months now, which is an amazing community, a great crew, and that's led to some great relationships. People that I've met there have jumped over into like the Warpcaster, Farcast ecosystem and got little grants through the flows, WTF. And it's just been a really great, just a chill space to sort of catch up with people and learn about what they're doing, learn about new tools. And then, and inevitably you form some kind of, new friendships, collabs, partnerships, and you go out and you're able to do the different things that we do, which is like a pretty wide spectrum. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out the ZAO and kind of give a little history about how I met you. Najee's pretty OG, so we bumped into each other, over the last few years in different spots.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
for sure, for sure. Like it's funny because OG, but like what, 5 days on Twitch? You know what I'm saying? So the viewers they're probably like, "What OG? Get out of here!" So, but yeah, there's it's funny because there's big ecosystems. There's a big life on a bunch of different platforms. Everyone's building everywhere. We got to remember there's we at 8 billion people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So very cool, very cool. Um, Oh man, there's so much news. There's so much news going on. I think it would be helpful though, just because we are streaming to a bunch of different places, kind of just give like was the chat going crazy? Kind of just
No,
give
no, no.
a
Go
little
for it.
like insight into, Web3, what even is Web3? 4.3
That's
babies born every second. Burberry in the chat. That's yeah, exactly. So like there's humans everywhere, right?
yeah.
So yeah, if we
A
want to
lot of
give like a
peeps.
little backstory on like Web3, what even is that? Why we feel like that's important, right? I feel like for me personally, especially hopping into Twitch, like that looks like my whole identity, right? I got it everywhere. Like Web3's first HBCU, like what is he talking about? Like blockchain this, emerging tech that. So yeah, anybody want to grab that?
I mean, Web3 is a pretty far encompassing term, I feel like. When I first got into the blockchain community, like late 2018, got deeper into it in like early 2019, started to kind of, as I was getting on board, try and onboard other people, started doing more content on a few platforms, shout out Scent. And then started doing shows like podcasts, like way back in 2019. We didn't even really have the term Web3. It was just like there was blockchain art, there was crypto art, there was like kind of like blockchain music that was barely even getting started. And then terminology started coming in and being developed. Web3 sort of encompasses, I think, all of the blockchain tied together, whether that's social media, even if you're on a Web 2 platform and you're talking about crypto, blockchain, that's kind of falls under Web 3. So I think a lot of stuff is actually at about a Web 2.5 where we're integrating some blockchain features. And for anybody like, what's blockchain? Blockchain is basically just a public immutable ledger. There's a lot of different blockchains, but it stores data like a ledger in a book, but you can't erase it. So it's there, it's immutable, it can't be changed. You can have a smart contract, which is a way to interact with that blockchain, sign a deal. Like if you were doing a music label and you had a smart contract as your contract, the label couldn't go back and be like, oh, we're going to pay you less for this tour because we spent more than we thought and you had less tickets sold. No, there is no lawyer to go back to. So it's a really strong technology in that sense.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. I love it. Easy, you're getting into your bag, getting into some big terms, immutable ledgers and things. No, I think it's really cool. I think a cool place to start is like, just Web3 is just like the future of the internet, right? You can kind of get into Web 1, Web 1.0, 2.0, 2.5, all that good stuff, right? But Web 3.0 is just like the future of the internet where we're going trying to take ownership back for the creators, ownership back where, big companies, big conglomerates can't, tell us what to do with our data, tell us what to do with our splits, our revenue, our money, all that good stuff, our music, our art, everything. So one of the coolest parts I think about Web3, and it's an analogy that sometimes pops up, but it's really good, is that we're back to like a new type of vending machine, right? The vending machine where everything's kind of run by, what Easy called smart contracts. It's just like, think of it as the bots are running everything, right? Humans aren't, it's like, it's pre-programmed computer programs on this, on this huge, I want to say immutable ledger. Like that came to mind as well, Easy, but like this huge database that everybody can access, nobody can tamper with, and it's pretty cool, right? So prices are set in stone, right? For the most part, these programs are coded by humans, so things can go awry. But for the most part, 98, 99% of it is the price is set here. You do you click button that does this and it's going to do that. So the vending machine thing is really cool. Like, you go up to the vending machine, there's no humans behind it. You interact, you put your money in, or you click a few buttons and you get out what you need to get out. So yeah, very cool. Look at Easy in the chat. Easy in the chat going crazy. Self sovereignty, freedom, creation, and financial freedom. Yes, yes. Go ahead,
Because
Izzy. Go
that's
ahead.
what it's about. That's how it started. There's of course been like gambling from the very early days and stuff. But largely the movement was about artists taking back their creative freedom, because so many, if you wanted to get into a gallery with your art, they're like, well, you need to paint in this style, or you need to shoot your photography in this style. And it's like, no, why? No, F you. I want to create what's inside of me and share that, and then the people find that and resonate with it, will purchase it. Before, that wasn't how the system worked. Now with this technology, you can work like that, and you will kind of like migrate towards the people you vibe with. And like the vending machine analogy, you sign the contract from your wallet, click buy, it comes to you. There's nobody that can stop that. There's nobody that can take it away from you. Of course, if you decide to sell that, you're able to honor, secondary royalties to that artist, which was also a huge part of the whole like crypto art movement when it started, was that you can get secondary, tertiary returns when someone sells your art, which was never possible for physical art in the kind of Web 2 world.
Yeah, no, I like both of those a lot. I like to use the example, programmable money. I think that's a way to kind of understand now what we can do. And one of the best analogies, my co-founder Sam Candy Toy Box says, is that everything that money touches is going to be affected by blockchain. And I think that gives you an understanding of how monumental of a technology this is.
Absolutely. And like we were saying, prices are set in stone in a smart contract, but if you are getting paid in Ethereum or Bitcoin instead of like a stable coin, then your pay could drop, it could double, it could quadruple, it could be like 10%, it could go to zero. So, you want to have that in mind too, like what blockchains are you using, what currencies are you dealing with, because there's so many choices now. It's crazy.
Yeah. You want to chime in, B?
1,000%. Yeah, I was just gonna. Yeah, I was in the chat, doing the Twitch. But yeah, big shout out to Burberry, Burberry from the UVR crew. Big ups to Jade and Violet. He's in the chat right now,
Ooh,
giving us some
coding.
insight.
That's smart.
Yeah. So we should change the browse channel to coding. This just chatting that we're in right now is kind of oversaturated for this type of content. For
Well, yeah,
now,
that's
Burberry, we're bringing it. We're bringing it though. But
I like
yeah, I was looking
coding.
for that
That's
coding
smart.
channel. So yeah. It's
Well,
under
just
software and game development. All right. Good looking out, Burb. That's what's up. Big
let me speak to that for a second because I'm no coder. I tried to take like Code Academy like a dozen years ago and like build a website, and it just doesn't really click in my head. Like I don't speak code. But recently I started coding a game with the help of AI for the Farcade, which is a little like arcade over in the Farcaster ecosystem on Warpcast. And I mean, it took me some time, and I was hitting my head against the wall, pulling my hair out a few times, but I've got the game nearly finished. And that's just within like probably about a month of putting in, a few days a week, a little bit of time here and there. I pulled a couple like 10-hour days to get like over the hump, and now it's just cleaning up a few things. But the AI tools are insane now. Talking with a friend of mine who was on a show the other day, Epic Dylan, the founder of PageDAO, he was saying, he's using AI to code up tools and software and stuff. And so he was saying what used to take us a couple years from the initial idea inception to having like a viable, even beta product is now down to like 2-3 months instead of like a couple years, which is just crazy. And it's only advancing at a, like breakneck speed. So definitely a lot of tools out there to use to your advantage now that weren't available a couple years ago.
That's what I love about it. OHNAHJI B always shows me all these old antiquated ways they used to do things, and I'm just glad I didn't have to deal with that shit.
Hit the sad face for that because man, what a time! What a time! No, that's it's just a testament to like the innovation and how fast this space itself is, innovating and like just bringing in other pieces. Like we're seeing this merger with AI and blockchain technology just kind of converging together, and a lot of us saw that in the beginning when we saw both those industries. We're like, okay, it's inevitable that they're going to meet together and either clash, work together, and we've seen a little bit of both, but I think going forward, it's just going to be emerging tech. That's why I use that title a lot to describe all of it. You know what I'm saying? And I like with that as well too. We talk about metaverse a lot too, and I know Easy, you have a whole bunch of experience in metaverse. Tearing up on that scene. But I think like all three of those will eventually get to the point where that's all just tech. It's not going to be emerging anymore. It's just going to
Yep.
be
Mm,
tech. So yeah, go ahead.
And it's going to be interchangeable. Like it's not going to be like you won't even have to say like blockchain. Like everything's going to have some level of blockchain at least running in the background. And like most platforms will have either you can like go into their metaverse or like hop on the screen and just look at it and see. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've got now an even bigger respect for devs than I used to. After trying my hand a little bit, even with all the help from the AIs, because they do get caught in a loop sometimes, and then you have to go like try and look for like help elsewhere to figure out to tell them like, oh, you're stuck on this. And I've sat in on a lot of dev calls over the years. Like it helped me understand the processes, even though I didn't know everything they were talking about. So I've always had a big respect for developers. I mean, they make the tools we use, like shout out. But now, after like running into like some of the stress that it made, just over a couple days of coding, I'm like, y'all are like from another world. I don't know.
yeah, I I feel that every time I jump into coding here and there, and a lot of it's vibe coding now. I learned how to code in school and hated it, but then when I got to blockchain, I really got interested in it. And initially, I would have spent more time developing if it wasn't for everything you have to do as a founder, running in every direction. But I really like this new term vibe coding where we are able to use these LLMs and use them within code where the natural language is just the human language for the code, and you can if you can interact with and be a developer in your natural language, I think that opens the avenue up for individuals to create their own things up to everyone, right? So I think that's the big unlock that we're also at. That we weren't at the same place, OHNAHJI B when we ended this last, right? Like it is very different, now, and that was only like 8 to 10 months ago, which is pretty wild. Like there's tools out there that literally have you have AI in the IDE with you, where you can just type to the AI and it puts all the information into the IDE, right? And it's building 1,000 to 2,000 lines of code, in 5, 10 seconds, 15 seconds in different cases, which is just like wild. Like, where are we going to be in 8 to 10 more months, right? So it's like taking advantage of these tools now and trying them out in emerging tech really gives you, I feel like, that upper hand. And yeah, that's what I'm excited to do with you two guys.
Nice. I honestly, I think it's like I know you ended the show maybe like 8 months ago, so you're referencing that. I think in the last 4 months about massive changes in AI because I started tinkering with AI a couple years ago. I was like trying to like write a novel with AI and it couldn't even remember it would mix up like the main character with the other. I was like, yo, and I'm always very humble. I'm like, yo, I appreciate you, but I think you confused the main character with this other guy. Can we please review that? Thank you. And it would be like, oh, you're right, my mistake. Let me reference this. So now, like, I haven't even gone back to that for some months. I bet when I have some time and I go back to like polish up that old work, it's going to be crazy. Like, it's going to be like, oh, I can spit out like whole chapters now with just a little bit of input, which I prefer to be more involved than that. I would write most of it and just be like, can you spell check this, grammar check it, add, tell me some suggestions where it might sound dry or not make sense. And it was decent at that. But now it's a whole nother world.
1,000,000%. Okay, I do want to touch on one thing before OHNAHJI B has to leave here. And I think it's a perfect first episode kind of conversation. There's a platform that just released today that in a month they are going to be sunsetting their platform, their website. They're not giving a crazy amount of information yet. It's all new news, but this is a website hosting platform. And I think a big part of that being sunsetted is a lot of users did rely on that to host their sites, and now in whatever they're doing in their lives, they're going to have to in the next month get their site set up somewhere else and get ready for it. But also that just gives you another reason for understanding why decentralization is important and to own and decentralize your data and your following in different aspects, right? Owning your data in whatever aspect you can, especially the content that's on your website, because if you don't have backups, if you don't have it set up where you can extract that information, you are left at, a loss and figuring out your next steps versus if hypothetically, if you're going to go full owning and decentralizing all your stuff, owning your own server in your house and someone's never able to do that. Of course, that's maybe not the most practical for all of us, but understanding that that is the spectrum of where you can get to with your safety, your security, and owning your information, really to bring the profit margin in every way, shape, and form back to creators, but then also your data and IP rights, right? So that's a
So
big part of why we're here. And yeah, what's up?
quick question. So can you just host or store a bunch of your website data on something like IPFS or Arweave? I mean, you'd have to pay a little if you're using something like Arweave, but so you can basically pin your website stuff to IPFS.
So I had to unmute real quick. So one of my like biggest experiments, especially as I'm making like different token minting sites and things like that. I know for IPFS, it was easiest to have that website structure in one file in one page, right? Which we can, but that's not really like industry standard for coding, right? You break up the page, especially when it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we'll figure out a way to do that. There's probably devs out there that probably see this later on and be like, we can definitely do that now. But yeah, I've definitely had a couple of sites, just bare bones, one page with a hero minting functionality and stuff that are decentralized. It's on IPFS, fully controlled. So that was one of the biggest things or biggest topics I was looking at when I first hopped into crypto 21, 22. I was looking for like shout out to you guys, you got your ZAL.eth, you got your EZincrypto.nft, those domains. I was looking for people that had those ETH domains but also had functional websites attached to them, and it was only a few handful of people, and I bookmarked those people so fast, shoot them to follow. So I was like, these guys are super huge brains, right? So yeah, so definitely we'll get there too. You know, Zal didn't even mention, he left us on a cliffhanger. Like, what's that? What's the site going down?
No, you didn't mention
What's
the
the
site.
Yeah,
company going
I
down?
don't know. I don't want to like roast him,
No,
but
you don't.
Mom's
Yeah, I know. You know.
Bonfire.
Oh, damn.
Well,
Yeah,
Even
big one in
it
the
happens.
Web3 music community. That's the thing, right?
Yo,
Like, and these musicians, they're busy as shit. So it's like,
that's
I
crazy.
can't imagine, like, I need to move my information off of the site that I'm using because I've been using something for the last like 5, 6 years that's like super overpriced and outdated because it doesn't have AI or Web3 integrated at all, right? So it's like, what's the point of paying a bunch of money for this? But I've been like pushing that off because it's like all this information I have to take off. But that's been like last 2.5 years. I can't imagine having to do it in a month.
Well, and I don't know where it's hosted actually, but maybe one of you guys would. I basically created a token to get a noun space page, which is like a website they spin up for you, and I'm planning to use that for Impact concerts. The token is called Impact IMPCT, and I'm like, oh, I'll make this token. I can center the web page around Impact concerts because we've been wanting to create something for that. It's so easy. I just typed in the name, the ticker, and I made an image with AI. And then the Clanker bot, just created the whole thing and said, "Here's the link to your new web page for this token. Like you can do whatever you want with it." So I don't know where that's hosted per se. Might be decentralized because the nouns and noun space people seem pretty dope. But yeah, I would have to look into that a little bit, unless one of you guys knows. But it was super interesting just to try that out, and I've yet to dive a bit deeper into it and start like changing up the site, using some of the tools. But it was crazy.
All right, y'all. Yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll do some
Yeah,
research,
we'll
and
figure it
we're gonna
out.
leave you. We'll
Yeah,
leave you on a cliffhanger here. But yeah,
hell
I do
yeah.
got to run.
No
Give it
worries.
a
Yeah,
nice
no, this is a good
nice little
episode
Twitch.
0.
Yeah,
Let's
heck yeah.
yeah, we'll rock it out next week
Let's do it.
and have some stuff prepared. There's a lot of things going on. It'll be a blast to just chat with you guys every week. We
Absolutely.
see each other in so many other spaces, but it'll be really good to like have a place where we can share
Hmm.
this stuff with everyone and hopefully bring some of those amazing individuals up, but not have to like set up a whole guest thing. But like whoever pops in, like yeah, like join in this conversation that probably surrounds you in some way, shape, or form. So
All right.
definitely pop in, hear
Yeah.
out, and thank you.
All right,
Cheers.
chat. That's what's up. We'll be back. We'll be back. Tune in. All right. Thank you, Zal. Thank you, Easy. We'll see y'all later.